Since Brexit, the short answer is that the UK has generally become poorer than it would have been if it had stayed in the EU. That does not mean the country suddenly collapsed. People still work, spend, invest, and build businesses. But if you look at the economic evidence, Brexit has acted like a drag on growth. The clearest effect is on trade. Leaving the EU created new barriers for goods and services, and that made it harder and more expensive for UK firms to sell into Europe, which is still the UK's biggest trading partner. Over time, that matters a lot. When trade becomes more difficult, companies face higher costs, fewer sales, and less incentive to invest. That means lower productivity, and lower productivity usually means lower wages and slower growth. Several studies estimate that UK GDP is now smaller than it would have been without Brexit, often by a few percent. That may sound abstract, but for a large economy, a few percent is huge. It represents billions of pounds in lost output and eventually less wealth for households and the country as a whole. Investment has also been weaker than it likely would have been inside the EU. Many firms dislike uncertainty, and Brexit created years of uncertainty over rules, regulation, labor supply, and market access. Some businesses shifted activity to the EU. Some foreign investors chose other countries. That does not mean every sector suffered equally, but the overall effect has been negative. There are also costs that are easy to miss. Extra paperwork, customs delays, and regulatory frictions do not always show up in dramatic headlines, but they slowly reduce efficiency. And when the economy grows more slowly, public finances tend to suffer too, making it harder to fund services. Supporters of Brexit argue that the UK gained more control over its laws and trade policy. That is true politically. But economically, the evidence so far suggests sovereignty came with a price. The UK may have gained freedom of action, but it has not translated into greater wealth. So if the question is whether the UK is richer or poorer because of Brexit, the best answer is poorer than it would otherwise have been. Not dramatically poorer overnight, but noticeably worse off in the long run.